Hey everyone, I have a really exciting show for you today. The hottest topic, most frequently asked question I have is about out-of-state investing. And we brought on a special guest just a week, maybe 10 days ago, Brian Adamson, to really understand what he's doing. But this time, we're going to stick his feet to the fire. We're going to ask him for his top 5 things to think about when looking at out-of-state investing. So let's bring Brian on the show. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me. I got to tell you that when you asked me to come back for a second time, I said, okay, so the first time he introduced me, now I'm gonna be on the Budweiser hot seat. So I don't know. I don't know what you flame throwing today, man, but I know it's coming.
Yeah, you know what? The first time you're nice to your guests, you treat them well. Hey, you want to come back on? Sure, that was fun. Now we get to grill them.
Exactly. Exactly. So for the viewers, this probably be my last time.
Yeah, he's out. Oh, no, I promise. You can come back anytime you want. My first conversation goes down as one of the best I've had. So for the
Thank you.
folks that haven't watched it, tell us who Brian is. What do you do? Maybe your journey in 3 or 4 minutes.
Sure. I started out investing 14 years ago, 2006, right before the last market crash. And I was, in college, leveraging my college refund checks. That's how I got started.
Yeah.
And, that evolved into buying cash flow. And I actually did cash flow. I bought over 20 doors in my young 20s from 2008 to 10 when the market contracted last time.
Yeah.
And so I did cash flow for the first 7-8 years. Never knew about any other strategies, to be honest. And then finally found a seminar, went to it, spent tens of thousands of dollars, got educated about wholesaling and fix and flip. And that's where I kind of got my footing in doing that, and did over 100 transactions. And then eventually a couple of years ago started my mentorship program where we teach people how to invest remotely via fix and flip, wholesale, and cash flow. And currently our footprint is, as wide as 4 countries and helping a lot of people get started in the business.
Yeah. And again, you're living what you're doing, because from the first episode, you started this investing in your backyard of Detroit, as I recall.
Absolutely.
And then I forget, was it 4 or 5 years ago you picked up and moved to Miami for the weather, if I remember the conversation.
I moved to Orlando back in 2010. Yeah, back in 2010. Yeah, predominantly for the weather. It's funny, I was talking to a commercial real estate broker this morning. I'm working a couple of deals in Detroit.
Nice.
And he was like, man, what made you move to Florida? And I was like, the weather. It's a simple answer for me, man.
Yeah. Why do you got to overthink it? You don't snow here. There's no snow on the ground.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, that's hilarious. So this time, Brian, I really want to dig into out-of-state investing. We talked about it last time. You have a proven system, lots of followers, but there's so many people that type in out-of-state investing. And I think a lot of people do it wrong. I think a lot of people get smoked. A lot of people try it once and get burned out.
Yeah.
So for that audience, I thought we would bring your top 5 things to think about.
Sure.
To make sure you get right before you waste $1. And I thought we'd go through each one of them. We'll see where this goes, and we'll have a conversation. So with that said, what's one thing people should think about when, they're talking out of state?
So the first thing is you need to know your market. Okay. You got to know your market. That's super important. One of the things that we hone in on in our program, in our mentorship program, is we teach students how to understand their market. Now, there's many students who want to do things in their backyard if they have a favorable market, but if they're in California like yourself, one of our students, Kiwan, just flipped his first house in Detroit. Never saw the property, made $17,000 from San Diego. So
that doesn't suck.
Yeah, I know, right? So if you're in a challenge market, we want to show you how you can go and do it elsewhere. And so, we've got a multitude of tools that we use to have you look at the demographics of the area, right? Figure out, is it a cash flow heavy area? Is it more of a home ownership heavy area? Because that means something, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And then, from there, we can hone into specific zip codes to find out where's the most activity. And then, based on criteria that we teach with respects to comps and determining ARV, you can then have an educated and informed conversation with the realtor and tell them what you need at that point, right?
Yeah. So I like where we're going with this. So number one's feeling really, really good. So know your market. You're giving them tools up front. And what I really liked what you just said there at the end, you're advising, I'll call it students for lack of a better term, students to do upfront work before they call a local agent.
That's
That way
right.
they have informed information. They can validate what is being said. They can call bullshit on what's different, right? Because
Yeah.
not everybody you call is going to be honest. Let's just be
That's
real,
right.
right? Money's
That's right.
involved.
Yeah.
So I like that. So, okay. So you're looking at, renter versus owner areas like that. I talk about that all the time. Know your area down to the zip code like that. Are you looking at, how many metrics do you, because some people talk about, got to go look at crime and school and, all of those other things. Do you look at those, or is it at some point it's too much?
Yeah, to me though, that's getting a little bit too granular for what we're doing. I think that the next thing you need to find out after that is, does your lender lend in that area?
There you
Right.
go. Right. Yeah.
Right. So before I care about what the crime is, I care about if my lender cares about what the crime is. Right. Because again, just to build some more security into the deal, there's things that we do to protect ourselves from a practical application perspective as well. So the crime is relative. Homes in the suburbs get broken into,
Yeah.
so, when they're vacant, for that matter.
Yeah, I brought that up because I think there's just I work with a lot of engineers. I'm in the Silicon Valley. A lot of people that follow me are engineers or computer scientists or whatever. And they just feel sometimes more data is better, i.e., let's find out the 1,700 different stats about this zip code. Right. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. At some point, maybe 7 stats mean something, but not 1,700 stats. So, especially
I got an industrial engineering background myself, but you have to separate the two when it comes to investing. I think that there's certain elements of it, from root cause analysis and things of that nature, that you can definitely utilize in your business. But at some point, your business has to be your business, right?
Yeah.
And your engineering is separate from that.
Yeah, and sometimes more. I'll say this: most of the time, more data is not better. I'm going to say it this way because we're just talking, and other people can shame me later. Most people just use that as an excuse to do nothing.
I agree.
Right? It's like, I'll get this one more thing. I'll get this one, but it's really just an excuse to do nothing. Write the goddamn offer.
You're looking for ways to talk yourself out of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. So know your market. You know what? You've watched a couple of my videos, because clearly that's my thing. My students tell me the thing I say the most often is I say learn your market, which is know your market's the same thing. So because you're right, markets, right? If you spend the time, the markets will tell you. Let me just hang up on this person because it's probably a wholesaler calling me to buy one of my houses. Actually, it was too 559. That's Fresno. It was a wholesaler. Hang up.
It is Saturday morning.
Right? It is Saturday morning. That's right. It's funny. Live recordings. So yeah, it's learn your market, because again, there is a flow, and you need to, I talk about watching it every day. This would be interesting. I think you can learn your market in 15 to 20 minutes a day.
100%.
Awesome. Thank God.
100%.
Because too many people I talk to go, hey, I'm going to take 8 hours on Saturday and just bang it out. No, it's little bit consistently, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome.
I agree.
I like you. All right. So that's number 1. Is number 2
the lender? And just to piggyback one thing that you said, Mike, because I think it's important for the viewers to understand. When you're talking to realtors, whether they're in your backyard or in general, that buyer agent has a vested interest in you purchasing a home.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you go in uneducated and you don't have some type of idea of what value should be, they can very easily tell you, right? Sometimes maliciously, sometimes ignorance on their end, what the value should be. And if you're not educated to be able to refute that or have anything to measure up against it, you'll get holes really quick.
Well, let's just give a real life example. So I was at a real estate meetup. I was a guest speaker at a meetup, and let's just call it in Midwest, because I don't want to shame the city or the state. It was in the Midwest. And the agent talked to me afterwards, and he goes, you know what? When we see an area code 408, 415, or 650, which are Bay Area codes, we know we can raise the price 10 to 20 grand.
Wow.
How arrogant is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, look, 650, got another Silicon Valley tech guy. I'm going to raise the price.
Yeah.
I'm like,
so that whole fiduciary duty thing just went out the window, huh?
That's good. Gone. Really? And you're telling me this? Can I get this on recording, please? That was eye-opening. When money's involved, man, money's involved.
I'm telling you, man.
There you go. So is number 2 the question about the bank, or was that like 1B?
That's like 1B.
Yeah, I agree with you. You got, because again, not only where the bank lends, but also the amount, right? Some of these Midwest cities, Detroit back in the day, you get 10, 15, 20K houses. You're not getting a 30-year loan.
Very, very good point. Very good point. Even for like those that like the cash flow,
Yeah.
Typically they want to see at least $50,000 minimum loan amount. So that doesn't mean minimum purchase
Loan
price,
amount. Yes.
minimum loan amount. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you got to watch for that. That's still today. That's one of the outcomes of the last crash. All the fees and stuff that were added. It's just unprofitable to do loans under that. So
Absolutely.
it's what it is. All right. I'm excited. I like number one. Where are we going with number two?
So number two is build out the infrastructure. Okay.
Ooh.
So now you're in the process of putting together your team. You need to identify a realtor. I would actually recommend several realtors in a given market, right? They all got their own hangups, as we just discussed. And I like to vet them against each other.
Yes.
Right. So I may get the opinion of one and then go ask two other agents that are non-biased, because I'm not necessarily buying anything from them, but I may dangle a carrot that I may let them potentially list the property post renovation, right? To then get them still juiced up for the deal and get their opinion. So building out your infrastructure, get several realtors to work with. Then you got to start the process of finding your contractors, which is probably the trickiest of them all, right? But
no question. That's the one that can bite you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so if it's a situation where you actually want to take some time to go out, many of our students go out to their market, and you may go out and actually, form relationships at the likes of a ProDesk at Home Depot or Lowe's. And, you want to get there early and start to find the people that get to work early and and they're being proactive. Those are the guys you want to work with.
Exactly.
And then, the plumbing stores, electrical stores. There's a lot of boots on the ground work that you can do, but then there's a lot that you can also outsource once you identify who that boots on the ground individual will be, i.e. project manager in your particular market. So
now I want to talk more about what you just called the project manager. Boots on the ground. That's the role that I want to be really clear on. Because again, I'm thinking about all these out-of-state investors. Again, 7 in 10 people that talk to me about out-of-state have bad experiences.
Okay.
Most of them are bad experience because they didn't have this project manager or boots on the ground. And I want you to understand my opinion, not Brian's, at least not yet. We'll see if it is in a minute. I want that boots on the ground person, that project manager, not to be connected to the realtor, the general contractor. I don't want any gray area where their loyalties could be tested. Right? That's number one. Number two, the real thing when I get really frustrated with people talking about out-of-state investing, and I simply ask, is your boots on the ground, your project manager, going to show up at your funeral? Are they going to get on a plane and come pay their respects when you pass on? If the answer is yes, then you probably have legit boots on the ground. If the answer is no, you're just a number. There's nothing there. So that's what I feel how important that role is. So tell me what you think.
So I echo much of that same sentiment. In a perfect world, that would be my ideal guy. Okay. By default, though, and I hate to say by default, but in a lot of times it is by default, you try to get 70% of whoever that individual is that Mike just described. Okay.
That's fair.
And what you do is you put certain parameters in place to hold them accountable.
Yes.
So, one of the things that we do is pay our contractors in arrears. And so we also pay our project managers based on work completed. We don't just pay them to go perform the job. So now they have to maintain a certain level of integrity in doing their job and pushing things along, or they don't get a check. Right. And if for whatever reason they don't, and they don't collect the check, then they fire themselves anyway, and then you find somebody else. But to Mike's point, ideally you would want somebody that is that vested. And if they're not, you certainly want somebody that's at least encouraged by collecting a check.
Yeah. And again, I get this all the time. And again, I believe out-of-state investing can work. I believe it is not as easy as people make it sound. I believe there's far more downside than upside if you don't do the things that we're talking about in this list of 5. And this is the one. Like I get people all the time to say, hey, my brother-in-law lives there, or I grew up there, or I went to college there. And if you really have boots on the ground that are not in your pay structure, thumbs up. Right? Are they going to drive by Thursday night? Like, for example, I had a house that was vacant getting remodeled, and it was broken into last night. Right? I think it was 9:37 when I got the text. By
Okay.
10:15, I had 3 different people not in my network drive by it, make sure it was still okay. That's because
That's what we're talking about.
yeah,
Absolutely.
you built the relationships. And it was Friday night, and I had 3 people drop everything. One drove 8 minutes, one drove 15, and one drove 25 minutes.
That's what
Just
you
to
want,
go,
Mike.
just to go check on it. So
Yeah.
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 So
But they buy into your vision, they buy into the business. Obviously, you take very good care of your
of
people,
course.
right? And that's another thing, we fail as investors by wanting to keep it all to ourselves.
Oh
And
yeah.
we don't take care of the people that take care of us. If y'all don't remember anything else, take care of the people that take care of you. You have to.
Oh yeah. There's the only reason I was able to make that happen. And it made me feel good. Believe me, I get the text at 10:30 or 9:37. By 10:15, 3 people have gone by. I felt good. Like,
Absolutely.
man, all those favors and all those extras and I've done over the years, build my reputation and do good work, paid off.
There you go.
You know,
That's reciprocity at its finest, man.
exactly. So let's talk about payment in arrears, because I don't know that people caught that. And if they caught it, they may not understand it. So let's just take a job. Let's say it's a $10,000 job for round numbers. Let's say it's $2,000 in materials, $8,000 in labor.
Mm-hmm.
How do you recommend divvying that up? And call it 4 weeks for easy math. What do you think?
Sure. So here's the deal. 90% of contractors are going to ask you for 50% or more of a down payment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't care where you go in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But the easy way to dispute that is ask them, can you get 50% of the work done?
Mm.
The answer is always no, right?
Yeah.
Just from simple order operations within a project, they cannot articulate how they can get 50% of the work done at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so for that reason, then I'm gonna give them a small deposit to start demo, which is all labor intensive.
Yep.
And then whatever the next major piece, that major artery that they're gonna work on, be it the roof, the plumbing, electrical,
Kitchen,
then I'll give them,
whatever.
maybe 40, 50% deposit on that phase.
Yep.
So on a, probably more realistic in my world, on let's just say a $40,000 job,
Okay. Fair enough.
they may collect $6,000 to start.
Okay.
Right. And so in that case, let's just say that they're going to get demo done. Right.
Yeah.
And then
everybody gets demo done. That's the fun part.
Everybody gets demo done. They love demo. Right. They want to show you.
Bam.
Yeah, we got crowbars. We're going to get the demo done. And then if they start to get skittish, maybe I lost $2,000-3,000 on a $40,000 job. I got enough meat on the bone to still go out, provided that it was bidded correctly.
Yeah.
And that's why we teach our students how to develop their own bid. So although they're going out and they're getting 3 contractors' bids, they also know the numbers so that they're the final bid to say, okay, this one aligns most with where the real cost should be. Yeah. That's very important, right? This is why education is at the forefront of it all. And then after that, let's just say in a perfect world, they do what they're supposed to do. They complete the roof, and let's say the roof was 10, they had 6 to start, they'll get that balance. And then from that point, they have to continue to stay ahead of the money.
Yeah. I do the same thing with my contractors. The one wrinkle, and it's very subtle, is usually what I'm doing is paying for demo, because again, everybody gets demo done. That's everybody likes demo. I don't know why. But usually I will pay for supplies in the first phase, right up front. That's the only subtle difference. And then from there, I pay every Friday, right? I know what's supposed to be done by Friday.
Yeah.
If I get all the check boxes, that number's paid. If something's missing, they get less.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's that simple. So I love that. And the last thing just that you brought up, again, I love this list so far, is you got to teach your students to at least ballpark numbers, right? You talked about a $40,000 job, right? In my world, when I walk or I see a project now, I can get usually within 10 grand, right?
Yeah.
Usually within 5 grand, but let's just call it 10 grand in the beginning. What I would tell folks is don't always go with the cheapest bid, right? If you thought the number was 40, but somebody came out at 28, that's probably a red flag.
I run for the hills.
Oh,
I run for the hills. Earlier in my career, I'm like, that's my guy.
That's my guy.
After that, I'm like, oh no, I run for the hills.
Change orders, crappy work. Oh,
absolutely.
Jesus.
Absolutely. And the other one, the cousin of that, Mike, is, so what are you good at? Oh, I do everything. Mm-hmm. Any guy that tells me he does everything will never work for me.
No, yeah.
Right? Because either number one, you're that unaware of what your true skill
which
set
means
is.
you suck at everything too, by the way.
Right. Exactly. Or you're just trying to get me.
Yeah.
right? Oh, I can be competitive because I do it all. Well, you're not my guy,
Yeah.
right? I need very, specific people doing specific things. And so just those are two things to look out for all the viewers,
Yeah, I got to
like,
tell you, the plumbers that I've used in the past don't usually lay great tile.
there you go.
It's like a very different skill set.
Absolutely.
That is
Absolutely.
hilarious. Oh, this is cool, man. I like these first two. What do you got for number three?
So 3, I got due diligence, right?
Ooh.
3, I got due diligence. So one of the things that we teach, and I'm gonna share with you guys as a free nugget, is you want to vet these contractors, right? So,
Yeah.
you want to meet them somewhere that's not the job site.
Yeah.
Okay, have coffee, break bread, whatever, get to know them, and then after that, you want to show up to a job site unannounced,
Amen.
right?
Yes.
That's when you figure out
Unannounced.
really how they work, unannounced. So when you meet with them, you collect a few addresses. I love to see some of your work.
Yeah.
They're gonna be elated to give it to you, and they're gonna think that you're gonna call them to make those connections, and you're not, right? You're gonna show up unannounced, and you're gonna really find out how they work.
Yeah. The biggest thing I learned, again, I invest in a market that's 2.5 hours away by car, but you can get a lot of places in 2.5 hours on an airplane. So it really carries. The biggest thing I learned early in my first 5 years is unannounced visits. I can't tell you how many times I told them I was coming Saturday the 1st.
Yeah.
Everything was
Oh, the
rosy.
dog and pony show is on.
Dude, then I go on the 8th, 1 week later, unannounced. It is jacked.
Yeah.
Not cool. Go
Now,
unannounced.
you gotta have a stomach for it, right? Because to your point, you'd be amazed at what you would find.
Yeah.
But that's the true way you vet them. Find out what are they supposed to be doing. Contractors love to talk, so they're gonna share with you everything while you're breaking bread, and they're gonna sell the hell out of themselves. And then just hold them to that. So whatever they told you, you should be able to see that on their job site.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you had time, right, if you have the abilities, I would show up I would visit a job site twice. My experience is by 10 a.m., you should see what's going on rather than just rolling in because they got a hangover from their drinking the night before. And then I like to visit a job site close to 5 or 6 o'clock when it's winding down. How do they leave it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that'll tell you a lot.
That's really good, though. Yeah, absolutely. The cleanliness, all those sorts.
If they're going to cut corners on just picking up the debris, you're probably going to cut corners where you can't see it either.
Yeah. And listen, and the things that Mike and I are talking about, there's a top 10% of people that function in the way that we would want them to. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that you're not going to deal with the other maybe 30, 40% away from those 10, mm-hmm. but you need to know how to deal with those individuals, right? Many of them, they just require a lot more management, and
absolutely.
So long as you keep your safeguards in place, learn the systems, learn the infrastructure, learn the due diligence piece, you can hold these people accountable to still, will your way to victory.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say about due diligence, which I love that's on this list, is it never stops. I remember there's a contractor that I relied on years ago, did like 20 jobs for me. Mm-hmm. On time, on budget, on quality, like the trifecta every time. And then lo and behold, he went through a difficult family situation and it got messy.
Yeah.
And, I lost more money than I should have because I just assumed the last 20 would be the next 20.
Yeah.
This is a people business and people have bad life events.
It absolutely is, Mike. I tell people that, contractors, you're in a relationship. Right?
Amen. Yes.
And I'm gonna tell you, the closer you guys get, which it'll happen, Mike. We all get our guy that give us 20 good projects, and eventually, whether it's something that was out of their control, like a family event, or just sometimes they get too comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. Like any other relationship, your spouse no different. Like people close to us get comfortable and they get complacent, and in lieu of that, you get damaged. Right. And hurt just happens to look different in the form of real estate investment. Get hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
That's very good.
So it's an ongoing thing. To Mike's point, it's a people's business. It's a great business.
Oh, yeah.
So as long as you put processes in place to manage these various pitfalls that we're talking about today.
Yeah. And I just want to echo one more time before we get to number 4, never stop. The due diligence for me never stops.
Absolutely.
You just got to, you may dial it back in frequency, but never stop. This is your money.
And I like the frequency piece. And that's one thing I like to add is when early on, whoever your boots on the ground individual is, it may be overkill, but talk to them every day. and then
Absolutely.
Monday through Friday. And then once you get to a certain place, you know, you can maybe start having calls on Tuesday and Thursday, or Monday,
Exactly.
Wednesday, Friday. To Mike's point, let them earn, right, the frequency in which you need to
Yes.
touch them. But early on, don't take it for granted. Talk to them every day until you get a solidified
Yep.
system that where you can maybe do once a week or twice a week, you know, something along those lines.
Whew. Man, you're giving some great stuff. Okay, so that's 1, 2, and 3. Where are we going number 4?
4 is having the systems in place. So I kind of already segued into it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, we have various tools that we use inside of our program to just give, you know, quick
Can
visualization,
you give like a single example of a tool just so people get it?
like a cloud of some sort.
Okay.
Some may use a calendar of some sort. You know, we've got, you know, Gantt charts, you know, and
Yep.
we've got some very specific kind of tools.
But like a place where people can post videos and pictures and job updates and stuff
Absolutely,
like that.
absolutely, and have a clear defined scope of work.
Yep.
You know, and you know, and it'll look different depending on what kind of system that you like to use,
Yeah.
but you need to have one, and you'll use that and you know how you're running your operation. But it's just for visibility,
Absolutely.
accountability, and all those sorts of things.
Yeah. For me, again, just giving everything away. There's two elements that my team does jobs today. One we've already talked about. They only get paid on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we agree every Friday what's coming. So that's system one, right? Money's involved, one. And the other one is they give me 3 videos a week. They do the same walkthrough every time. Oh, by
Yeah,
the way, right? Here's demo day. We're going to do this, and this. And then Wednesday and then Friday, hey, we're done.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and again, a lot of that's been added. Used to be a weekly video, but now
yeah.
because of this health crisis, and I actually haven't been to Fresno since January,
Okay.
I get 3 videos a week. They're 1 to 2 minutes, and
Got
it's
it.
the same path every time, right? They walk in, and
Typically we do weekly, you
yeah,
know, but I could certainly see why you would want it a couple times a week, you know.
yeah,
And again, that'll be just depending on the tolerance of the individual
yep,
and what they deem to be necessary. And I think that predicated on what you find is what'll tell you, you know, how frequent or infrequent that you may want to do them.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
System tools. The systems or tools are meant to be 2 things, in my opinion. One is to lower your risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody's on the same page, and they are a single point of focus where
Yeah,
everybody can point at and go, "Hey, we're at this piece of the Gantt chart, or this item, or this thing." It's a system of record, if you will.
absolutely.
Oh, very cool.
Absolutely.
All right, how you
And
get?
an important piece to that,
Mhm.
right? And we drill in inside of the program on this as well, is it's not just a function of like lining out the job. It
Yeah,
has to make sense in order operation. Contractors, based on how they want to pull money, will sometimes do things out of sequence. You know, so you have to
yeah,
set timelines and realistic order operations, and it's important for you to get educated on what that should look like,
yeah.
so that you can hold them accountable to what they should be working on.
Nice. All right, so how are you going to bring us home with number 5?
Number 5 is hold people accountable. You
Oh,
got to
I
hold people
like it.
accountable. I think everything that we just talked about through 1 through 4 directly feeds into 5, and you utilize all these systems, processes, functionalities to hold people accountable. And one thing I will leave you guys with, all right, and it cost me $500,000 to figure this out over the years.
Oh,
Okay, it's you got to be slow to hire and quick to fire. Right.
yes.
It is a people business. You know, I'm a shark, but I'm a shark whale. And so right after being a shark, you know, I've got a lot of compassion for people. I got a big heart. I'm a giver. And I've let people stay around too long in the past.
Yeah,
And
me too.
it will absolutely bleed your business. You'll be hemorrhaging money and you can't understand how to make it stop. You know, never feel like you're at a disadvantage because you may not have a wealth of resources. You're better off stopping the job because somebody shows you they're inadequate and finding somebody several weeks later than to keep letting somebody bleed you when knowing that they're not going to be the one to finish.
Yeah. This is a big one. I'll actually go this far. If you're not comfortable firing people, don't do it.
Yeah.
Right. I fired the first property managers I had, and I wasn't even doing flips at the time. I was managing like 5 or 6 rentals, and I was
Got it.
firing people because it is your job. It is your empire. It is your thing. And part of being the man or the woman is you got to make difficult decisions.
That's big, Mike. And it's tough. Listen, it's tough. You know, something I, you know, at the same time, some of you, we need to probably pull back the reins a little bit. And you can't fire everybody. You need people to work with. All right. So, yeah.
That's fair. I know that guy. Yeah.
Exactly. But no, seriously, to Mike's point, you gotta make the tough decisions. That's where you're really gonna make your money, or you will lose all of it and go out of business quickly. And guess what? Those people, they're gonna go on and they're gonna find somebody else to do it too. So, you know, you have to, maintain the integrity of your business, thinking about your why. Nothing is more important than that. And people have to be held accountable. And if they don't produce, they gotta go.
Yeah, I've come to this rule of thumb, and I used this when I was managing people, right? I worked in tech sales for a long time. The rule applied there, but I brought it to real estate as well. Everybody gets the benefit of the doubt once, not twice.
That's right.
Second time, you're gone. It's over. Done.
Yeah.
So excuses and this and that, nope, sorry, not going to work out. You know, maybe I'm out a couple of grand, to your earlier point, because I managed it. But yeah, I'll shut a job site down before I let somebody take a second couple of grand from me.
Absolutely. Yeah, Maya Angelou said it best: when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Somebody shows, yeah, exactly. Believe them. Oh, I love that. So Brian, dude, I love this list. Know your market, build your team, due diligence, system and tools, and hold people accountable. Strong 5. How can people look you up? Where do you want them to go? Because you're really helping people. Out of state's hot, man. So where can people go to check you out?
They can find me on Instagram. That'd probably be the best place, at Brian, BRIAN _ Adamson, ADAMSON, and then the number 1. So Brian _ Adamson 1. They can find us at BBR Education Group. That's the website. And feel free, reach out, send me a DM. I love to talk to people, see how we can help them. You know, we teach how to fix and flip, wholesale and cash flow remotely. So if you're interested, now is the time to start investing. Contrary to what people are saying, I think it's another convenient excuse to say I'm gonna wait till after COVID. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means. Yeah.
Right. But now is the time. Get yourself in position. There's a market contraction coming, which I believe will be end of Q1 next year. And you want to be in position. You don't want to try to figure it out then, because
no, exactly. Learn now.
Even the scraps.
Yeah, believe me, I'm set up to be greedy, because my best year was 2010.
There you go. Year. And mine was 2009. So
yeah, there we go. Let's go. All right, Brian, this is so much fun, man. I love talking to you. I could talk to you every week. This has been really good. Thank you. And you have a wonderful weekend. All right.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
You got it.